back room of a candy store on the Italian market.
As soon as he turns his back, he gets up and shoots him back of the head. Then when he goes down, he gave him another one. Bang, bang.
2 bullets to the back of the head, and Philip Testa is dead. His body is dumped by the side of a country road in New Jersey. A growing media frenzy catapults the citizens of Philadelphia into the violent world of the once low-lying mafia. This is real-life drama, and the set is right on the public's doorstep.
It is very much a soap opera in Philadelphia. It always has been. And if they weren't shooting each other, it would almost be a black comedy. But these guys all got guns and they're all knocking each other off.
By the 1980s, FBI surveillance technology has become far more sophisticated, allowing them to watch the mafia's every move. 1986, the Delaware River that borders Philadelphia. A development company, Rouse, plans to build a multi-million-dollar housing scheme on the waterfront. It's the backbone of an extensive urban redevelopment project to help bring Philadelphia out of the economic doldrums. High unemployment has left many downtown areas crime-ridden. Philadelphia wants to attract new investments, but this redevelopment attracts attention of a far more troubling kind: mafia. Scarfo decides he can make millions of dollars in a vast extortion scam from the Rouse development project. He sends Caramandi to shake down the owner, William Rouse. If the development company cooperates, the mob will leave them alone.
I met with the guy, and I said, look, it's this, 1 million, and you could have whatever you want. You could have the whole waterfront. Then you won't have any trouble with unions. We'll get you the contractors. You won't have no labor problems. This is what you're getting for $1 million.
But William Rouse is outraged. He refuses to be intimidated. Instead, he seeks help from the mafia's biggest enemy.
It was such a bold and blatant shakedown that it drove Rouse right to the FBI.
It's the break the FBI has been waiting for. When Caramandi returns with his crew for an answer, he doesn't realize that one of the developers is a wired undercover FBI agent recording his every word.
All right, now, let them show you and tell me.
We were able to introduce an undercover FBI agent as the Rouse executive, and they went forward and tried to shake him down, the FBI agent, for the $1 million.
It's all over for Caramandi. He's sent to jail to await trial. But Don is infuriated. Caramandi's capture would implicate Scarfo directly in the crime, and the penalties will be heavy.
I was sick, laying in my cell. What am I going to do? I'm in trouble. I'm in serious trouble.
Caramandi translated trouble to death, that he was to be the scapegoat, that in the Rouse extortion, removing him, taking him out, maybe lessens the problem.
Faced with prison time or death at the hand of Scarfo, Caramandi is forced to make the toughest decision of his life.
It took me 2 days, and I finally called the FBI, and I only wanted to talk about certain things. I didn't want to talk about it. I just wanted to talk about my own self. I didn't want to involve other people.
When he received the idea that he was going to be the sacrificial lamb, he decided that his future lay with the federal government rather than with the mob.
It's a turning point for the Philly mob. Nicky the Crow Caramandi sings. He becomes a key witness and betrays the mafia's oath of omerta.
His deal was that he would plead guilty to the extortion and take whatever sentence the judge gave him, and that we would make no recommendation as to sentence, but would tell the judge about the value and extent of his cooperation. But if the judge gave him 20 years, it was 20 years.
with a star witness ready to testify, the FBI arrests Scarfo. In court, Caramondi testifies against his former boss.
He was 10 feet away from me, looked me straight in the eyes, I looked him straight in the eyes.
For the next 8 weeks, it's a war of nerves as Caramondi's colleagues make their bitter feelings known.
To be 19, 20 lying at the table looking at me, you know. People in the audience making faces, you know, like this, this. They used to go like this. So it was pretty scary.
On November 19th, 1988, Scarfo is finally found guilty, along with 16 others, on multiple charges including murder, extortion, and drug dealing. It's all over for the Philly mob boss. He's sentenced to life in prison, scheduled for release in 2033, at the age of 104. Scarfo in jail creates a dangerous power vacuum in the Philadelphia mob. But waiting in the wings is a young wise guy with big aspirations. If little Nicky Scarfo was an unstable don, then Joey Merlino's love for the media spotlight will bring down the heat in a different way. By the late 1980s, South Philadelphia is in the grip of a brutal mafia war.
Well, I'm concerned about the community and the neighborhood in South Philadelphia. We have to do something to not permit this type of lawlessness.
In the chaos following the jailing of Godfather Nicky Scarfo, a fresh group of wise guys takes center stage. This rare footage reveals the new big hitters of the Philly mob. At their head is a young hotshot with big ambitions, 35-year-old skinny Joey Merlino. He captains a softball team supported by a local South Philly restaurant. Mobsters at play, something that neither the FBI nor Philadelphia has seen before. And Skinny Joey loves every minute of the attention.
We were looking at a change in the membership of La Cosa Nostra, a younger person, less dedicated to the mores of the mob, the legend of the mob, the discipline of the mob. The newer generation was not satisfied with the old ways of holding power quietly and just being. They wanted to be recognized.
With Scarfo in jail, Merlino wants to take the top spot for himself. But there's only one way to get it. He moves in on Scarfo's old territory, South Philly. Bookmakers, drug dealers, loan sharks, and even shopkeepers pay Merlino protection money or risk intimidation and violence. The cash goes tax-free straight into his pocket. But when Skinny Joey runs into Scarfo's son, Nicky Jr., also collecting street tax, there's trouble in store. Merlino becomes defiant. October 31st, 1989, Halloween night. Dante and Luigi's restaurant, a traditional haunt for generations of Italian Americans in South Philadelphia. Nicky Scarfo Jr., the imprisoned Don's son, dives into his favorite meal of clams and spaghetti. He never sees the masked man walking through the restaurant towards him.
It was clear that the attackers meant to kill the young man.
Even though Nicky Scarfo Jr. is hit 8 times at close range, the bullets miss vital organs, and miraculously, he survives. The mob hit in the middle of a public restaurant shocks the city. Merlino's street crews are getting out of hand. The Philly Mafia needs a new Don to stop the public violence, and fast. Once more, the New York crime families must approve a new godfather for the Philadelphia mob. This time, they play it safe. They bring in John Stanfa, a Sicilian steeped in the old ways of the mafia. Stanfa was the personal driver for the gentle Don, Angelo Bruno, and is trusted by the New York Commission.
The New York families go to Stanford and say, Stanford, go back to Philadelphia, put that family back together.
But Stanford immediately locks horns with the ambitious Merlino crew.
Right away, he's in conflict with the younger guys, and they're saying, who's this interloper, who's the Sidgy? He calls them the little Americans, they call him the greaser. It's a generational thing, it's an ethnic thing, and this tension develops.
The once protective bubble of the Philadelphia mob has burst. This new generation of mobsters doesn't feel connected to the secretive world of the Sicilian mafia and believes John Stanford has no right to run an American mafia family.
You have changes taking place then in American society where subsequent generations are totally assimilated. They are no longer bilingual. They no longer have the older European set of values and cultural influences. They're just totally American.
In 1990, Joey Merlino's criminal career is interrupted. He's sent to jail for 4 years on charges of armed robbery. Inside, Merlino's dislike for John Stanford plays right into the hands of Ralph Natali, a mafia old-timer imprisoned on narcotics charges. Natali encourages the ambitious Merlino to wrestle control of the Philly mob from John Stanford and take it for the both of them.
Joey's talking about John Stanford and the turmoil in Philadelphia, and Ralph, considering himself an old head, starts to advise Joey, telling him what to do, how to act, that kind of stuff.
With Merlino in prison, it's time for Stanford to bolster his own crew. His attention turns to Big Ron Previty, a former Philadelphia cop gone bad. Previty is an established thief. He made his name in the underworld, fleecing the casinos in Atlantic City. The mob allowed him to operate as long as he paid them a street tax.
There was 100 different ways to steal from the casino. You steal from the casino, you steal from patrons, you steal from rooms, you steal everything. And the amount of money I made was astronomical.
Previty has the know-how to earn good money, but Stanford wants a piece of the action. He recruits Previty as a bodyguard and allows Big Ron to operate his criminal activities in Philadelphia. In return, Previty pays Stanford a cut of his proceeds.
I was useful to the Philadelphia Mafia because I brought in scads of money. A lot of money through my bookmaking, through my extortions. I was constantly bringing Stanford money, constantly.
Previty is a practiced extortionist. His disturbing methods reveal why Stanford values him.
You don't want to kill people for money when they owe you money, because if they're dead, they can't pay you. So you beat them up, you threaten them. You'd hit him with a baseball bat. I had a guy one time, I took him to a car, opened the hood, and put his head next to the fan belt and closed the hood on his head. And, you know, every time the fan went around, it would hit his cheek. You don't have to do it often, because when Joe Blow tells Bob Blow that you stabbed him with a screwdriver and shows him, you know, they pay you.
But secretly, Previty is worried. Skinny Joey is on early release from prison, and the Merlino-Stanford power struggle is spiraling out of control. The violent nature of the rival factions could mean trouble for Previty.
The generations have totally changed that, you know? It's a whole different thing nowadays. They're more like street corner thugs than a organized crime unit.
With Previty in the middle of this turmoil, the FBI spots an opportunity. They know he's in a vulnerable position, and they want to exploit it. The FBI makes him an offer too good to refuse. A weekly payment in return for mob information.
Working for the FBI at the time, working for Stanford at the time, working for myself at the time. I mean, bullets were flying, people were getting shot. I got Stanford screaming and hollering he wants money. I got the FBI wanting information. It's a tightrope. It's a real tightrope. But, hey, I walked it.
With Stanford oblivious to an informer in his midst, he makes a calculated move that surprises many. He tries to bridge the generation gap between him and the rival Merlino factions and bring stability to the Philadelphia streets. Stanford makes Joey Chang Ciangolini his underboss.